Welcome back to Living with a Classic. We're out in my 2005 X-type estate, which we've spent several videos on getting this thing back on the road, and I think we've done it this time. The last inspection we had 3 failures. One was the front brakes were on all the time a little bit. That seems to have been the brake servo. That's been replaced. Second thing was the xenon headlights were stuck in the bottom, so the headlights were too low. That was a broken cable to a sensor in the rear. Replaced that cable, and I think they're working fine now. The last thing was a tow bar that had a lock missing, and it needed a lock. So now with that lock in place, I think we're ready for another inspection. I am going to drive through this terrible snow here, get to the inspection place. They're still open for about another hour on sort of drop-in visits. Hopefully I can get this thing checked out. If everything goes well, then when we come back home, we'll go through all the receipts and everything and see what it costs to bring this X-type back on the road after sitting for 6 years. All right, guess what? It passed with flying colors. Brakes are perfectly even now and they let go. So really, really good. I don't really know how it's measured, but it's 1.9 in the rear on one side, 2.0 on the other, 2.3 on one side in the front, 2.5 on the other, so that's very even and good. Xenon lights were good as well. They just were a tiny bit high, but you could adjust those down with the adjuster, so that worked really well. This is such a great place. I always use that when I can. It's only the Range Rover I can't take here because they don't do such heavy vehicles, but they're great and they always understand what I'm about and my shops. If there's some small little thing, I can fix it when I'm there. That's always, not a problem. But since this thing passed and it's been so good, we're gonna go treat it. I'm still running on 6-year-old diesel. Yes, we put a new filter in it, which maybe should replace pretty soon. But I just wanted to get the fuel level down a bit before I mixed in new stuff. So it had about half a tank when I got it. It has 1 level down, so it's between 1/4 and 1/2 tank now. So let's go fill it up with some great new diesel. We'll get some injector cleaner as well. There's a gas station up here that they usually have injector cleaners, STPs, and things like that. So we'll pick that up, add that. It's gonna be fun to see how much this actually takes. I have no idea what the fuel tank size is. It's gonna be fun to take this thing on long trips and see, because they're supposed to get really, really good fuel economy, these cars. But let's go fill it up, and then we can go and finish the school run. We have a full tank of fuel now. I got one of these STP diesel injection trim. I don't know, maybe it helps, but I don't think it's a bad thing. The ones I use for gas engines, they really do help, especially on Jag V12. They make a big difference. But I got about 40 liters in her, so it's a full tank now. So I don't know, but maybe the capacity could it be 70 liters, something like that? Or yeah, possibly. It's gonna be fun to see how long this lasts. I'm gonna go pick up my kids now, and my daughter, who is almost 5, she really likes this car. She was really happy to go in this morning. Went to the school run. I was about halfway there and it was dark, and she's not very chatty in the morning, not a morning person at all. And she suddenly just says, "You know what, Dad? This car looks really nice inside. I like how it matches my car seat." So I think that is an approval from the daughter, and that is always very, very important. Oh, I'm gonna go pick them up now, and then later I'm gonna go through all the receipts and everything, and we'll see what it has cost to bring this thing back on the road. And maybe we'll even include the fuel, because now it's back on the road with a full tank of fuel. Well, it's been a couple days. I thought, you know what, let me try this car out for a bit. So the last of that video was Friday afternoon. I was on my way to pick up the kids, and I've used this car all weekend. It's been shuttle, dropping a daughter off at a friend's house, picking her up. We've used it to tow the horse trailer. It's done a lot of things, and it's been just the main car all weekend, and I'm really, really happy with it. It's been superb. I've done about 150 kilometers so far, and if you don't count the towing, the fuel economy has been great. About 6 liters per 100 kilometers. Went up to about 7 point something with a little bit of towing. Later today, I'm going to go on the first bit of a longer drive. It is a Monday night, or the first Monday of the month. There is a Jag meet over at Joe's Garage, which is a big Jag place where I bought this car actually. So I'm going to bring it back to where it sat completely unloved and now just show how nice it is now. So picking up my daughter's coming along and we're going to go do that as a fun little outing. But I've gone through everything, and if you remember when we had a look at this car, it sat for 6 years and it had a bad clutch. I made a deal with Joe's Garage where I bought it from, and they were kind enough to let me do this. I bought the car from them, and then we had their intern do the clutch and everything, and they used it as a sort of educational car, whatever you want to call it. So I paid for the clutch materials and all of that, but then I also paid a little bit because they used their professional mechanic to do some of the things. I had to pay a bit for that as well. So I've gone through all the costs. We've done that, metal for the sills, everything, and the grand total is actually not that much. But let's go through everything. So purchase price is $560 is what I paid for this car. Oh yes, and everything is converted to dollars just to make it easy. If you want to know in your own currency, you can just Google that and convert it. The clutch, front brakes, and clips for the sill was about $479 for those parts. To fit the clutch, what I had to pay a little bit extra was $380. Full service, where I did all the filters, so the air filter, fuel filter, oil filter. We did the oil, so that cost $112 in parts. Winter tires were free from a good friend of mine. I need the new wheel nuts to put those on, which were $23. The metal I used to make the sills in the back, I used half of a big sheet of metal, so that half of that's about $23. I made a little mark on the pressure gauge on my gas for the MIG welder, and I just saw how much the needle moved, and it moved about 1/10 of the bottle. So I took 1/10 of what it costs to refill that bottle, and I calculated about 1/10 of what a full spool of wire costs. So that went to about $15. Paint and primer for everything that we welded on the back is about $45. The brake master and server were free from a friend. I just went and picked up from the parts car. That's going to get crushed pretty soon, so that was very nice of them. Brake fluid, about $30 because it took so long to bleed everything, but it's a very clean brake system now. And I had to go to 2 inspections because it failed on the first time, so that was $85. So all in all, that's $1,739, which I think is very, very good for an X-type estate that doesn't have any rust, that has new front brakes, almost new rear brakes. I think those were new when the car was brought off the road. It has a full service and a new clutch. Runs really well. Interior is immaculate and it looks very nice on the outside as well. So I think we've done really, really well. Of course, if I sold it right now, I think I could make a nice, maybe $1,000 profit, but we're not going to do that. This thing is too good to get rid of at the moment. It has a good purpose. It's going to take over from the Saab and be sort of the extra family car with the Range Rover, because this one can easily tow. With the Range Rover, you need to have a special license here to be able to tow a big trailer. This one you don't because it weighs less. So both me and my wife can use this one. I plan on getting that special license and then getting a tow bar fitted to the Range Rover. But for now, this is good enough. Anyways, I hope you guys liked the series that we did. That's something I want to continue on this channel. If you guys like that when we have a project car, I'll try and work on just that car intensely, get those videos out as close together as we can, and I put them on the playlist as well. Check that out down below if you have missed any of them. Before, my plan was before with videos is I tried to work on a couple of cars at once just to keep everyone interested, because everyone doesn't like every single car, but that's just sort of, I guess, annoying. So I think I'm going to go like this. So I know a lot of people that don't like X-types and haven't watched this, but don't worry for you guys, there'll still be another content coming up. But I think it's more fun just to follow a project from beginning to end. And what did this take? Like a month or so, a month and a half from beginning to end. And I think that is pretty good with, you know, I learned to weld on this thing basically, and a lot of other things. anyways, hopefully this thing just keeps on running now, and we'll have some updates when we do some other things to it. If anything happens to it, of course, there will be some updates. It does need one thing. We'll add that, and probably another 15 bucks. It needs a thermostat. It doesn't really go up to full operating temperature. It's close, but not really. So I'm going to replace the thermostat pretty soon. But otherwise, it seems to be working really well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.